All right. Well, thank you very much for the introduction. Good afternoon or good evening or good morning, depending wherever you are. My name is Andrei Roth. I'm part of our commercial pricing team and licensing, and we also have very happy to have Vio as well, Viorela, who is our licensing owner. So the goal for us today is to take you a little bit through how our licensing works, both from like how we go to market, what is our commercial offerings, but also how it actually works. So hopefully we'll have a very valid conversation. I know we had a conversation in the session about a year and a half ago, if I'm not mistaken. So we will go through some of the changes and the news and the new features, if you will, and options that we have. As mentioned, we will not be talking about the pricing itself, but rather about how we package our products and everything, with the idea that for pricing, you would talk to our dedicated teams. On that note, I will quickly start. We'll do an overview, and then we're really happy, excited to have a Q&A session where we can answer many of your questions. So in terms of the agenda, we'll start with a platform overview, and then after that, I'll be talking a little bit about our Flex licensing model that we launched early this year. We will also talk about the AI units, which is again something we launched early this year, where we actually converted our AI-based product into a single metric and a single commercial model. We will talk about an extremely exciting new development or new product, the Automation Cloud robots, so our full SaaS robots that we launched and how these actually can be used. Obviously, we will go through the community offerings. And then lastly, as I mentioned, we will have a Q&A session. The Flex plan, I mentioned the Flex plan. I'll start very quickly to explain why this. So in 2022, we launched the Flex plan, whereas we actually offer all of the light deployment options for our products under a single commercial offering. So this is talking about deployment agnostic entitlements for our products. As a note, and something that some of you might be familiar with from, we know some of you are actually part of enterprises that are our commercial customers. Under the Flex plan, we have named user licenses only for users. So we no longer have concurrent node locked, obviously, which we retired over 2 years ago. But also we don't have the multi-user. And I know there was actually a question on this in the prep questions for the session. And now on the Flex plan, we actually also provide platform capabilities up to 3 non-production licenses. I will go a little bit more, but I wanted to throw this out here to explain what the Flex plan. And hopefully the next slide will give you more visibility into why I started like this. So our platform has a lot of products. As you're familiar, we have products, on the entire automation spectrum, right? And on our platform, we have 3 deployment options. You're already familiar with the Automation Cloud, which we launched over 2.5 years ago, so at the end of 2019. Obviously, the individual products on the right, which is our original deployment on Windows based on Windows with MSI installers for our products. And then we launched last year Automation Suite, which is actually our cloud native solution for on-prem, i.e. Linux Kubernetes, which customers can then choose to deploy on their private cloud or to run their own infrastructure. So we have these 3 options. And then as we had kept developing and investing in our infrastructure, we realized, we want to give our customers all the flexibility because they don't have to choose, what kind of license they want for each, or to think right off the bat which is the best option. So under this, within this context, and here you have a visual image of all of our platform capabilities and how they're actually represented. Obviously, we don't have full parity because our cloud and obviously automation suite, They're new technologies. They allow for more of our platform components. We can do various things, and you can see here, for example, on the automation cloud, we have our full products, right? If you look on purely Windows-based, there are some of the feed products that are not available. For example, apps or data service or integration services. So there are some products that are not available under the Windows. So, but wherever possible, we wanted customers to have all the flexibility they can. Hence the flex model. Now under this flex, our offerings and how we actually present this to customers and to the market is under three different motions. The first motion that we present is the packs, and we have a set of packs which are bundles of services and licenses that are built for the early stages of automation, right? The point with packs is to deliver a production-ready automation as a turnkey solution. It allows customer to start quickly. There's a low cost of startup, you know, and it's we usually recommend they actually go with quality bundled with UiPath professional service. So the packs is our initial motion. They should be able to generate value. There's also some commercial value built into them, but that should deliver a set of attributes and entitlements, allowing customers that with different use cases to quickly ramp up. Now, obviously, we still have a la carte offerings where, you know, customers can go and pick and choose whatever they want in terms of whether it's platform capabilities, whether it's users or robots. And then we have the full platform offerings, which are for our mature enterprise customers, where we actually have the entire list. We're not going to go through that too much here because, again, this is we're trying to focus the content here on our community customers and, you know, on the community use cases. In terms of the flex plan SKU, so these are the things that we introduced, but we're just gonna kind of do a recap of them. So we have under the user tiers, we have several flavors from the very common one, like automation developer, which is our user that actually provides access to Studio, to citizen developer, which provides access to Studio X, our citizen development platform. We have an attended user, you know, an action center. If you look on the spectrum from the left to the right, there, and you'll see why they build a little bit like a Matryoshka doll. So the action center user is, you know, the user that interacts with unattended automation, human in the loop, long-running workflows. That's the entry point, and they also actually provides access to our apps platform. Then the attended user is the actual attended robot license. It provides an attended robot to the user, also providing the action center entitlements of the previous user. Citizen developer, if you will, it's an attended user plus Studio X, and as it builds. The automation developer is a citizen developer with full Studio. And then process mining developer, that's our specialized developer for our process mining solution, but it does come with all the entitlements of the automation developer. And then we have the business users for both process mining and for testing for our test suite. These are the people that are kind of users, business users for these specialized components. On the robot tiers, I think you're quite familiar with these. We have 4 different flavors of our robots. And when we talk robots, then I'll use it's the unattended play, right? So we have non-production robots. We have the test robots, the test robots do have the non-production capabilities. Then we have our unattended robot, which, you know, you are all familiar with, I hope, by this time. And the new one, the exciting, the automation cloud robot I was mentioning before, that does come with a different licensing model, and Vio will actually talk a little bit more about this. We have a separate session on this. But these are the second tier, the robot tiers, and we have the platform add-ons as we were talking about them. Right? So like automation hub, process mining, we have API calls, we have test management, our test suite, we have insights, and we have AI units. I was mentioning AI units because that's a new licensing model that I will also go more in details with. Very important thing that we've had since we actually launched our cloud orchestrated model and with the Flex queue, all of the users and the robots within the Flex model, they come with orchestration by default. So orchestration is not something that we sell independently anymore. Anytime a customer would purchase, whether it's users or robots, they automatically get entitlement to orchestration. And orchestration in every of the 3 deployment models that we were talking about. Just to go back a little bit to the users, and I promised I would show them a Troshka doll, the linear growth of our capabilities, or if you will, how they scale. The Action Center has the entitlements for task capture, data service, the apps, and the Action Center user, right? As we move on, as you can see more and more of the capabilities. So, apps, which is one of our very strong products, is built into all of these types of users, except for the process mining, or the test users, which are specialized ones. Data services, they come in. For every of these users, we also provide API calls. So we're building the capability, so to make sure that any user, they have what they need to really be able to generate value. Now, on AI units, so we're very happy to introduce AI units because it was one of the moves that we're really trying to make life simpler in a way for our customers and for our partners and all the users of our platform. Under the same AI unit, we've collected all of our AI-based products. So document understanding, our AI center, so our bring your own model ML models, or our own ML models, and obviously the capability to train them and to host them, and our task mining solution, they all actually are being licensed under the same metric of the AI units. So it's the first real usage-based pricing that covers multiple products under it for UiPath. It provides a lot more flexibility. So a customer could sign up for AI units, and then I'm going to use them now for DU. Then I'm going to use them to train our ML models, and then maybe for a while, let me say, now I want to do some task mining exercises to identify the next layers of automation for my organization. So this is a unified metric that has full flexibility for multiple products. And obviously, they would be based on, it also includes under the same metric, whether it's actually UiPath hosted. So there's also the cloud component to it. It's under the same metric. Now I will leave it to Vio to go a little bit over the automation cloud robots.
Okay, I hope you can hear me. Okay, thank you. What are automation cloud robots? As you already know, customers and users in general use our unattended robots by setting up their own infrastructure and maybe installing and managing the robots in a third-party cloud, for example, in Azure or AWS, or on-premises, or on your laptop, for example. With automation cloud robots, UiPath actually hosts and manages the robots for you. This means that no infrastructure costs or no infrastructure setup is required, and it frees a company's IT team from managing and provisioning these resources. And it's another advantage would be that it's really easy to start using UiPath to run your automation. Like we are showing here, automation cloud robots are of two types. Serverless, which are our new types of unattended robots, let's call them. They're Linux-based, and you can do the setup entirely through Cloud Orchestrator, and of course, no provisioning is required. As you may have seen in the community accounts in Automation Cloud, we also have Studio Web. So you are building the automations using Studio Web, and you can run them without needing a Windows session, for example, or any session using the serverless robots. The other type of cloud robots are our VM based. So these are actually, for you to understand better, these are actually unattended robots based on Windows, of course, like our current unattended robots, but they are hosted by us. So the setup of the robot is done entirely through Cloud Orchestrator. And of course, you can customize it. You can choose when to update the robot, what applications to install in these VMs, and so on. All these things are detailed in our documentation for cloud robots. And regarding licensing, we have introduced robot units to consume automation cloud robots. So both of these type of robots, serverless and VM-based, will consume these robot units. We are currently offering 300 robot units per month for community. And with the mention that community, when you are using Studio Web, you can develop your serverless processes, you can debug them and test them, but once you move them and, I don't know, put a time trigger or schedule a process developed with Studio Web, it will consume out of these 300 robot units per month. For now, Cloud Robots VM are not available in community, as these in community, as we will talk a bit later, we already have an unattended offering for free, and these imply additional costs, infrastructure costs. For trial, we also have an offering of 12K robot units per month, and the enterprise, as Andy showed earlier, is purchased as robot unit bundles based on the estimation that you will have. We also have different types of VMs, VM sizes for cloud robots. So based on the size you choose, maybe it's a small machine with smaller resources like 2 GB RAM or 4 GB of RAM, and so on. The consumption of robot units will be higher. Also, these details are in our documentation. And another thing, just like for unattended, you would allocate robot units to different orchestrator tenants. So out of the pool, you have at organization level, for example, in cloud, you would allocate on tenants, and this will consume based on the tenant level pool. We can get into more details for cloud robots. I suggest you test it along with Studio Web. And not only, for example, serverless can be also consumed by creating cross-platform projects within Studio. And right now you can do this and deploy them in your personal workspace, for example, in Orchestrator, even in community, and then you can get started with serverless, and you will see the consumption for robot units. Each month for community, this will be reset, this 300. So if you don't use it or use less than 300, it only gets reported. And I think that's it for robot units and cloud robots. For my presentation, I'm going to wait for your questions. What we have now, it's an overview of Automation Cloud for Community offering. As I said, Automation Cloud robots, we have 300 robot units per month. The 2 attended robots, which translates within the product in attended user SKU. 1 unattended robot, Studio, which includes Studio X and the test suite functionalities for Studio that are included in Studio. 1 tenant maximum for Orchestrator and other services, and computer vision limited to 30 megapixel per minute. So it's a throughput limit here, and for document understanding, currently we have that limit of 2 pages per document. We will, later this year, we will also introduce AI units to the community offering. So we will announce it once it will be released. And for data service, there are entities that can be created in Studio. If you haven't given them a try, they are, let's say, a very good alternative to Orchestrator queues to store some data that you need, and Action Center, of course, are included in the user SKUs for attended and for studio for community. So this is our current community offering for now. And we've reached to the Q&A. Let me see, because I think there are some questions.
So Rohit, can you help us with the questions or? Yes, am I audible?
Please. Okay.
You're on mute.
Okay, so I've seen the first question. So if you will, let me see. Okay. So if you build a workflow on Windows and you would want to change the project, let's say, scope to be cross-platform and to run it on serverless, I mean on Linux based, you can do that, but you would need to define the project in Studio as cross-platform, and your workflow should not contain any, let's say, Windows-specific applications, for example. So it should only contain file, UI browser automation for Chromium. That's gonna run on serverless as well. But basically background automations that are using files that are OS agnostic, let's say. So, but if you are using, for example, UI automations in SAP, in your workflow, it won't run on Linux because you won't have the same buttons, the same specifics of that application. Okay. Let me see. How is a robot unit defined? So this is basically a unit we are offering to a consumption unit. We are offering to consume, let's say, this automation at execution time, and they are defined based on the machine size and based on the Azure cost, because these machines, virtual machines, are hosted by us, by UiPath, and we also have some internal costs that are included in the robot unit, but mostly they are based on hardware. So RAM, processor, and all those things of the VM will consume resources. So this is how they are defined. What does the robot unit offer? For serverless, it's based on the machine size and the execution time. Of course, robot unit will be consumed per minute, but for Cloud Robots VM, we have right now released a reservation model. So for each VM that you turn on for in our UiPath hosted cloud, you will consume 6,000 robot units. So let's consider a standard machine with 4 GB RAM, for example. For reserved unit, you will consume 6,000 robot units per month, but with unlimited execution. So you can have 10 executions or 100 or 500 executions. For Cloud Robots VM, it will consume 6,000 per month. But for serverless, it's a minute consumption. As serverless mostly will be, let's say, background jobs, API jobs, so jobs that will run faster. Can we say the capabilities of Studio Web is at par with what on-premise Studio has to offer? No, for now we cannot say this. Studio Web is only available in community for now, so we haven't yet GA. We plan to do this by the end of this year. And for now, Studio Web only offers capabilities to develop workflows that are background. So no UI automation in Studio Web versus Studio, for example. But I know the team is working on making it as to have the parity of functionalities as soon as possible, and based on the technical limitations that are on web versus on desktop, as you may know. So Studio won't be retired. The Studio Web is complementary to Studio, as it doesn't require you to install anything. how can be calculated how many robot units are needed. So for if you plan to use unattended hosted by us, by UiPath, as I said, for each virtual machine, you would consume 6,000. This is in our documentation, so please, I'm gonna give you also the links once I'm done talking here. But for serverless, it will be an estimation of the execution time of a process. So for example, if you have a process that is running, on average, it will run 5 minutes, based on the machine size and this minute, you can calculate how many you will need per day and then per month. Or for a longer period, for any period of time. I'm gonna give you the links to the documentation because these the machine sizes are actually documented better than I have the knowledge for them, and you will see exactly what hardware requirements. You will see the auto update functions and the maintenance window. For example, if you have a cloud robot on our machines, you would the maintenance window so the robot, the execution will not break when you update it. For building and executed unattended automation, that is one-time use only for 6 months time frame. What licenses do I need? Unattended user license, I will say, just knowing the high level what you said here.
Just as a note, but if you want to build the automated automation, you actually need Studio.
Yeah.
So you would use the automation developer license for building it, and obviously the automation developer license does come with an attended robot entitlement, so you have that to run it.
Okay, so two participants raise their hand.
Yeah, Ramesh, do you want to unmute? Yeah.
No, that's okay. I think it's covered. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Priya, maybe you can speak.
Hi, thanks, Rohit. So I have a couple of questions. I'm sorry, I guess like there's an echo. All right, thanks, Viorela. So in terms of DU and AI, like, does it change anything in lines of like with the AI units? Like, are those like the DU number of pages like still gonna stay there, or is it covered with the AI units?
Viorela, you are on mute.
We are on your mute. Yeah.
Okay, sorry, some technical difficulties. Okay, so the DU pages will be replaced by AI units, but it will be, let's say, if you had 10 DU pages, I'm giving a random number here, you will see that you now have 10 AI units. So it's a one-to-one mapping right now between one page, one AI unit, with the advantage that if you previously purchased DU and AI robots, for example, DU pages and AI robots, if you go through the AI units model, you will also have access to task mining, and you won't need those two AI robots anymore to train your models or to access any AI model in AI Center.
That's awesome. That's really good to know. And I did see like there is this enterprise like trial feature that I saw in one of your posts like 5 days ago. And that seems to be like really cool.
Yeah, so we released trial per service for Automation Hub for now, but that's a functionality for existing enterprise customers. So if you are an Automation Cloud existing enterprise customer, you will see that you now can try out Automation Hub. More services are to come, even for AI units. I mean, for all AI services, we plan by the end of the year to have the functionality for each service. Thanks,
So
Priya.
that's like something that the community is going to be like cheering loud for.
Yeah, I've heard. I've read. Thank you very much.
Thank you. One last question. So Andrei mentioned in the earlier slide, like at the very beginning, something about the orchestration being a part of like any offering. Like you buy a robot, like now orchestration is like free, right? Like that's the kind of understanding. So how about like existing customers? Because we've had customers that have bought like, like a 5-year deal or like, in a long term. So for them, is that going to be like prorated or something?
So thank you. So I didn't want to go on those cases because focusing on the community, but so what for with customers that are on the flex pricing model and the price licensing, that comes in. I wouldn't say necessarily it's free, but rather it's priced into the robots and the users. For existing customers, we are not they can stay on their existing licenses. We're not forcing our customers to move to this new model unless they choose to, unless they do want to get some of the capabilities of Automation Suite, or they do want to move to Automation Cloud. And by the way, when I mean move to Automation Cloud, means to use orchestration in the cloud or Automation Suite as an orchestration. So that's what I mean. We are not forcing our customers. If there's a 5-year contract, that contract will live its life. They can continue to use our purely on-prem Windows-based deployment option.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And one last request I would ask is like, in terms of the licensing.uipath.com portal, that's where like we mostly like refer to all this information. So if you can like share that platform overview that you had, like, the Automation Cloud and the Automation Suite has these product offerings, because I had to like, like really search for that information to be able to find it. It'll be really nice if we can see that on the portal. And as you can see, the community has a lot of questions on like, what's this robot unit? How does it define? So if that page can be updated, that'll be really nice.
Well, the page is updated in terms of robot units and everything on the licensing. Why we don't keep all the, if you will, the deployment options always updated? Because they're always evolving. As we're launching, we're trying to, to develop as new. So it's going to be hard to do it. On the other hand, everything that our commercial offering provides is there, and it does provide all the options on our licensing page. If there are things where you see that maybe something might be not up to date, we apologize. That we're trying. Well, it's an ongoing. We keep investing and we keep delivering new options, so we're trying to keep it up to date as much as we can.
Thank you. Totally appreciate that.
So questions that we've missed, and by the way, Vibor, anyway, if you see questions that we're missing, as we're scrolling, so feel free to let us know. Or by the way, feel free to raise your hand if we haven't answered your question, or unmute yourself. I think you can. There is a question from Kashi about how can I position these during our discussion with the customer. How can I talk about the value add from customer point of view? Kashi, I'm not sure I understand what the D's are you're talking about.
Kashi, can you unmute yourself and
yeah, if you could elaborate on the question.
Yes. I am new to this UiPath. Okay, it is just 2 weeks or 3 weeks I joined this organization. So I am focusing. Yes, thank you all. So we were talking about this, the whole automation and the cloud robots and other things. So it is of course helping us in the platform and doing the activity. But how do I convert this into my sales call, or when I'm speaking to a customer? Can we say these are the advancements that we have made? So when I meant these, I was talking about the cloud robots and other things. Will it be helpful to the customer, or it is only internal for our the process automation?
So,
I hope I'm clear now.
You're audible and I understand. So to that point, so you are working, you are in UiPath, you are part of this, and you're trying to do the customer. So we have a lot of enablement material internally. So you know, I'm trying. So you are working for. I'm trying to understand what you are. If not, our partners will have all of these materials. So feel free if you have a partner, they also have these kind of materials. So we have published this. There are materials about this, but they go through our regular distribution channel.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Guys, if you have any question, please ask. We, such session happen once in a year. So it's really great opportunity to ask any doubt you have. So we have one question on the chat. Yeah.
Yeah, we still have in chat question, like how are these robot unit bundles set up? Do you purchase this one-to-one or am I buying 10,000 at a time?
How are the robot units bundles set up? Do purchase this one-to-one or no? So if you see in our in the slide we presented, so for buying them. So we're not talking about the community offering, which Viorela mentioned how we're offering. Buying them, we actually have a robot unit bundle. So it's actually an entitlement. These are packages of 72,000 robot units, but actually that means it's 6,000 robot units per month, which can be consumed for either VMs, the automation cloud robot VMs, or for servers. Right now, it's an either or, because the one ACR VM that we have is 6,000 robot units. So if a customer would choose to get that, that's pretty much the entire allocation. We will be releasing as towards later this year, different type of VM sizes. So there will be cases where you will have maybe a 5,000 VM, and then you will have another 1,000 robot units that can be used for servers. So that's how they are. They're presented via a single offering of 72,000 robot units per year. Christopher, does this answer your question? So think of it as you're purchasing them similar maybe to a telecom contract. We charge you per minute, but you buy a 1,000 minutes per month of subscription. That's sort of maybe an analogy that might help.
Yeah. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just wondering, what if I just need 3,000, or in the next month I need 2,000? What if I don't need the same consumption each month?
No, it's a fair question, but this is the only way. So this is the only offering we have. Them, it's that kind, like your telecom provider, which will offer you this subscription for these many units. So it is a year. It is a commitment for a year for a monthly allocation. That's how it works currently.
Okay, I understand.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question.
Hello, everyone. So I have question related to test suite licenses. Suppose one of the project is having 45 testers and they all are manual testers, wanted to move into the automation using UiPath test suite. So client is asking like they need to take 45 different licenses for development, or how it will be? Is there any bundle license? Because they don't want to invest for 45 people altogether, right? So how this scenario can be handled?
So the scenario for 45 testers, they're all trying to build test cases in Studio. Because
yes.
If they are, no, at that point, the commercial offering is that we would need to have 45 automation developers if that's the use case, right? Because they effectively all need that capability. So we don't have a special offering for that use case. But what we know, yeah, so if there's tester users, we have the business user. But if they actually all write test cases, yeah, they do need the automation developer license.
So you mean to say like 45 automation developer license will be needed for 45 people, right? If they wanted to go with the automation.
If they all write test cases, yes.
Okay.
But not really a use case we've seen that often. Usually they have a few people writing the test case and they'll have tester users to look at the results and to assess the results.
Mm-hmm. Okay, fine. Thank you.
Sure. But as a note, for these kind of where there's large volumes of users, we also might, there's the packs, which might be some better commercial offers. So there are various commercial offers, but not something particular to this use case.
Okay, so for that particular commercial offering, whatever packs offerings we are having, whom I should connect?
You should connect the account executive you work with or the partner that you work with.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi,
Yeah,
Andrei.
hi,
This is Priya again. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, hi, Andre. This is Ramesh. There was some discussion sometime back about seasonal licensing. For example, if somebody's looking for a couple of attended licenses for 6 months, 3 months, that kind of duration, I really don't need it for the entire year. Is there any progress on that, or this is in offering at the moment?
I'll be very quickly. Our offerings are still for term licenses for a year. That's our standard offering. That's a good point, actually. If you need this, one option that we do have, we have direct buy. So on our website, if you go to UiPath.com and to pricing, there is actually an option where you can buy directly there via your credit card, whether it's an attended license or several, and those actually do come on a monthly basis.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can look it up. That's the only option we have. It's a direct sale process, and it's limited to the automation cloud.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, hi, this is Priya again. I just have a quick question around the named user license, especially for the business side. For instance, if you're considering the Action Center license, most of the time our SMEs are from a group. So let's say if one of the SMEs goes on vacation, I don't want my long running workflow to wait for him or her to come back. So instead, it'll be beneficial if we could assign that license to let's say an AR or an AP group, so that anybody who's available or who's covering for that person can actually go and make that decision for the robot. So is that something that the licensing team is considering?
Yes, we already have this Priya in Automation Cloud and Automation Suite only, not in Orchestrator MSI, so not in Orchestrator on-prem standalone. So for group, you can assign, let's say you have 5 attended or any user licenses available, right? And you can assign for a particular group the whole this license, and the first 5 people in the group will acquire the license and it will be theirs. But if someone is going on vacation, the admin can come and remove one person from there and give their license for these cases to somebody else. I think we have in terms and conditions that there are some cases like this one, or if someone leaves the company or the department, that you can reassign the license. But for the automatic way, as I told you, with user licensing, we only have it in Automation Cloud and Automation Suite.
Okay. So as of now, we should have a group license. I mean, we should have a bunch of license to be able to revolve along with the group. And for that, do we need to reach out to UiPath to change that, or is that something that can be done from the cloud portal?
No, you have the option in your admin section within the Automation Cloud organization, for example, admin section, and in organization settings, you can enable user license management. So this is a functionality that we built, and you can self-enable it for each organization.
And if there is a scenario, because sometimes we have very small customers that are just starting out, but they still want to explore these features and take advantage of what they have. Let's imagine they only have one attended robot license, and in that case they would get one Action Center access as well, right?
Yes,
that's correct, but it's for the same user, so you can't. So the entitlement come to that user, both Action Center and attended. You can't split the entitlements between users.
Okay, so that Action Center license cannot be shared with another person because it's tied to the named user.
It's a named, think of it, what we license are named users. We give it, then that named user gets all these entitlements. So there's not different licenses. It's one license, but they get different, like under that named user, they get all these entitlements.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I heard like even from the community, like many of them were trying to talk about this as like the pay as you go model, like, you know, based on your consumption, you want to pay based on like what you need. So is that like, I know right now the standard offering doesn't like give room for that kind of model. Instead, like in the future, maybe is there a possibility, let's say like this month, I only use like 200 robot units, but the following month I use like 6,000. Is there a way to say like, based on the usage, you bill the customer?
So we're always looking at ways to align to, you know, to how our customer use cases. To your right, at this point we don't have it, and I'm not going to say we have something on the near horizon for that, but we are looking at various options. We could meet that, but at this point not yet.
Awesome. Yeah, because we just introduced these cloud robots, so you may want to like watch for those statistics over there, and that's where like this could give way for this. Awesome.
Exactly.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Priya.
Andreas,
Samir had a question. You know, what about the carryover, and Viorela Viorela replied, but just to make sure that everybody understands. So the question is, with remaining robot units, whether they can be carried forward from month to month, or upon renewal. And you're right, no, this is the consumption, that month's consumption, it doesn't carry forward. So at that time, that clock resets, and then you have the next batch of 6,000. So you wouldn't pile them up.
Andreas, do you want to ask something?
Yeah, thanks. One question from my side. So first of all, thanks for the session, really helpful. The question I have, so if a customer is in an existing license model and he figures out, okay, it was not the right model or not the right product, and he wants to change something, is it possible during the runtime of the licenses that licenses get transformed into other products as long as the amount of price is the same?
So that's a commercial operation. We do that sometimes for our customer, but it's a debill and rebill operation. So at that point, you would have a conversation with your account executive or your partner, and they would bring that case up. And yes, we have this, but it's a commercial operation. It means a new contract, you know. Everything.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Thanks.
You're welcome. Veria, I think, oh no, that's just the image. I thought there was a highlight there.
We have one more raised hand for Mauricio. Mauricio, can you unmute yourself, please?
Hi, hello. Yes, I would like to check something about the, we have a consumption license per minute on Linux machines. Is any possibility way that we can do the same option for Windows machine, or with working with a partner, or somehow another way to do that?
So can you repeat what you were saying? You have a consumption?
Yeah, it will be possible to have consumption per minute as we have on Linux environments or the other machines. So we can do the same on Windows machine.
Mm-hmm. We don't have it for now, but I know there are plans. Like Priya said before, we are waiting for feedback from based on the usage of these cloud robots. We can enable some functionality to consume per minute, also for VMs. I know the team was thinking about it, but the advantage for the reserved one is that you have no matter how many executions you have, it will consume 6,000 per month based on the VM size. And with the minute one, this is why we only have it for serverless for now. But yeah, we based on feedback, we are open to adding more options.
And as a note, serverless is available purely on the in the cloud, because it's actually UiPath hosted. So it's not on automation suite, it's in our cloud. So that's where it's available, or through Studio Web, obviously, but it's still already in our cloud.
Thank you.
And Rajiv, I'm searching for the documentation.
So Rajiv, please confirm the understanding is correct. One robot unit equals one robot execution. So there's no real correlation between the robot units and execution. In a serverless mode, as Viorela was saying, there is a relation between the robot unit and the robot units and the minutes of execution. So I think with our standard serverless VM, it's 4 robot units per minute, the one that's launched right now, and we'll have several flavors. But it's not about execution, it's actually the robot units. It would be some robot units per minute, but this is only for serverless.
This is Ramesh. Just to understand it clearly, you're saying that approximately 4 RUs will be consumed per minute in a serverless?
It's not approximate. This is actually the metric for us. Well, no. There are several sizes to serverless, of machines that can run them. I think our standard, the one that we actually have right now is a medium machine, is a medium serverless, and that one that's launched right now is actually 4 robot units per minute. We will have different sizes, bigger and smaller, and those will be consuming more and more depending on the CPU and the RAM allocation. The current one, if I'm not mistaken, is a 1.2 gigabyte 2 CPU machine. And for that, the consumption is 4 robot units per minute.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Vijay, you have any question?
Yes. Hi, everyone. So I have a quick question. As an independent user working on my laptop as a proof of concept to demo to the user, like the customers, like, can I get just one UiPath Studio and all the instances, whatever UiPath is offering, as in to the individual, even it is paid?
Only with the direct buy option, we have this for individuals. So only if you, for example, go to the website and purchase from the website, and it will be a month-to-month purchasing. Let's say, I know the team is looking to implement also a more flexible way to purchase whatever you would need. I mean, one automation developer or one attended, whatever you would need to get started. And that's the only option we currently have for individuals.
Okay, and how much would it cost for that 4 individual licenses?
If you go on, I think I know we were actually published. If you look on the chat, if there's a link to uipath.com/pricing. If you go there, the prices are visible. They're transparent on the website.
Yeah. So this is Ramesh. So it is $420 per month for an advanced automation developer. And in that $420 per month, you will get certain capabilities such as task capture, one Studio X, integration service, data service, the cloud orchestrator, one attended robot, access to apps, action center 1, and standard support. So that's what is basically covered in per month pricing, which is cloud-based orchestrator for $420 per month. As
you can see here, I'm sharing this slide. It's exact. The license is exact. The automation developer there has exact entitlements you can see here on the 5th column. Exactly what Ramesh was saying.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Anyone else? Any questions?
Yeah, Rohit, hi, Sumit Kaushik here. I'm having one question. So actually, I have to start a UiPath practice in my company. I heard that we are having some packages like the UAT orchestrator and the production orchestrator packages through which we configure the UiPath within our organizations. Right?
Sorry, can you repeat? Because there's a little bit of a background noise here. I was having trouble hearing you.
Yeah. Can you repeat the question, please?
Can you please repeat the question? Yeah.
Yeah. So the question is like, I have to do the setup in my current company, the UiPath setup actually. So I got to know like we are having some packages like the UAT Orchestrator packages, which is having some attended, unattended robots.
Yes.
Also production packages, which were again having some attended, unattended robots plus studio licenses. So can you just help me what is into those UAT packages and the production packages? How many licenses are there? How to configure those, and what's the cost actually?
Okay, thank you. So I understood. So we actually have several flavors that we call them the starter packs, maybe the starter pack, basic, standard, advanced. However, each of them is actually configurable for the exact purpose of making sure that our customers can get the configuration that's optimal for them for that stage in their automation life cycle, if you will. So if you want a specific configuration, I would just engage whether with your AE or the partner that you work with, and they can configure and can give you the exact, because there's no one configuration. We've made them configurable so they do align as close as possible to customer value.
Okay, so that means those UAT Orchestrator package, like, and also those production Orchestrator packages are also there. So how many can?
It's to give you a point. So they're all flex packages, so that they no longer have there's no orchestrator production or non-production. That concept within a flex model doesn't exist because that was the production, non-production was about the usage. The moment you're purchasing users or robots, you can get the orchestrator, you can get different environments to use them in production or non-production. So they're all include that. But yes, they all, and you can configure with your AE or with this, you can have a pack that's fully on the unattended front if that's what's interested, or you can have one that's fully unattended or citizen developer. It very much depends on what your company's automation strategy is and the focus.
Okay, thanks. Thank you.
Sure, you're welcome.
We still have time, so any other questions?
Yeah, hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm Matisha. So I have one question. So let's say we are working in a multiple shifts in a company with multiple shifts, right? So if we want to allocate one license for multiple users, so let's say so we have in our company we have 2 shifts, so we need to allocate one developer license for 2 developers. So those 2 developers will work on 2 different shifts. So can we have that kind of model in the UiPath with these flex options?
So no, we moved, and this is actually a lot based on customer feedback, and that we do have customers where there were shift cases, but they were also trying to use the licenses. What you're saying is effectively a concurrency model where 2 users will be using the same licenses. As mentioned, we have moved away from that, and the idea that we recommend is to make sure every user you have do get their own license. Now, I understand the business case, but this is a conversation that you would probably have with your account executive or your partner about how to best size that demand. But from a licensing perspective, we do not have such an option.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Yeah, hi, Andrei. This is Rajiv here. Am I audible?
Yes, Rajiv.
Hi, Rajiv.
Rajiv, you are on mute now.
Hello.
Yes, Rajiv. Now you're audible.
Yeah, I'm having some connectivity issues. Sorry for that. So I just had a question on Cloud Robot VMs. So it says fully customizable VMs. So in this case, the VMs will be provided by UiPath, it seems, and we have to install all our applications on them, which the bot will require, or like how it is.
Yes, the VMs are actually UiPath provided cloud VMs with the configuration of the various the type of VM you're actually choosing. But yes, it's fully configurable by the customer. But you would choose how to use that VM. It's effectively an unattended robot that's hosted by us. So then exactly like you would do with the customer deployed unattended robot, you then choose how to you assign processes to that VM.
Hi, Amit here. So just want to next question on the same topic. So you meant to say that you guys providing only VM, but the robots and orchestrator, all these licenses, it will be a part of this automation cloud, or customer need to purchase separate license and then host it?
No. A good question. Thank you for bringing that up. So I don't want to leave any confusion there. When that 72K unit bundle, when then allocating, that is effectively a full unattended robot, if you will, because it's a machine that's dedicated. It's a VM dedicated to the customer, and that's all the rights. Obviously, it's connected to Automation Cloud, like all of our robots. They're connected to Automation Cloud to the tenant that you want. You connect it and you use it. So this is the full cost. There's no other costs to it. You don't have to purchase anything. The moment you get this, you have all those entitlements. Just like any unattended robot in a flex model. They do come with orchestration. They do come with everything.
Okay. And so where we can see those costs, and I know it's based on the usage only. So what will be the cost? It will be there. So where we can see those details?
You mean the price of an automation cloud robot, the VM?
Yes. So I mean, so just let's say it's in the VM you host, it's for the USA region. My custom, it's a USA region, or it's in a Asia region, right? So based on that region, also your cost will get changed.
No, actually, it's a good point. So our pricing and licensing model is geo-independent, is geo-agnostic. So the price is the same whether you're in India or whether in the US or in Europe. To give you an idea, actually, if you look on the pricing, you will see if you choose Indian rupees or something, you will see that the prices are roughly the same. And this is very much also due to the nature of our customers, which are global companies, and they have presence everywhere. So it's independent where they are. Our price will be the same. They're all, yeah. So they are.
Okay, all right. Thanks for the.
Okay, you're welcome.
And this is Ramesh, just in continuation of the previous question. So it is agnostic to the data center also, out of the 6 data centers that you have?
No. So if you choose to deploy your organization in a certain region, let's say Singapore region or Canada, whatever, and then you would choose the region because enterprise the subscription plan can choose the regions for the tenant. The machines will be created in the region where your tenant is. So what you chose to do, but the costs are not related to the region you chose for the machines or for your organization or tenancy in Automation Cloud.
Okay,
the data will be in the region you chose.
You have control which region where you put the data, and that's obviously because customers in Europe cannot move their data out of Europe. Obviously, customers in the US need to keep the data there. Customers in Singapore the same, Japan the same. So we have all these options, but they're independent of the commercial for discussion.
So they're independent, means the pricing would be same depending on where the customer chooses to store. Okay.
Independent so in that sense, where they choose to, yeah.
So in that sense, it is agnostic to the data center that customer chooses.
Correct. Yes. The answer would have been yes, would have been shorter. You're fine.
Okay.
So, yeah,
yeah, got a bit confused. Okay, understood. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, and apologies for the confusion.
Hi, this is Praveen. I have a question. So we have an enterprise license, and we are using our internal VMs like Windows VMs to run our bots. Okay, so we have like 3 unattended licenses. So and we also have a users, robo users, and also named users, right? So how like when you install in the VM, right, you need to install the Studio X, you need to log in the user and as well as you're consuming the one unattended license running in the each VM, right? And also the how the users will work in the VM Studio. Like, can I use the same user to log into two different VMs?
You can use the same user to log in. It's about orchestration and what tenant, what orchestrator you're actually using. The VMs.
We are using a cloud orchestrator. We're in a cloud.
In the cloud, you should be able to use the same user. Yeah, it should be the same user.
Even if you have a parallel sessions, it should be fine. Like if my two bots are running at the same time, and you can have two different sessions for the same user.
For those, you would need an attended run times. So if they are attended users, what we call user licenses are for attended, for studio, right?
No, we are sorry to interrupt. We are always using the unattended mode only. We are not using attended mode. So both our bots are unattended mode, right?
Okay.
So both are unattended
then you
mode.
Can do it in the same time.
Sorry.
Then you can execute in the same time.
I can execute the same time, but my studio can be logged in with the same user in two different VMs, right?
Yes. It can be, your studio cannot be in the same time connected with both of them. Only the robots, unattended robots.
No, that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, I have a process one bot and process two bot, right? So I cannot control the time of both the bots, right? So it is like schedule based. So it takes sometimes it takes 4 hours, 6 hours, right, to run it, right? So if I log in the studio in the two VMs in the same user, like maybe I can call as a Praveen as a user, right? So I can both the VMs I log in with the same user. If my both bots are running at the same time, will UiPath allow, because it will create two different sessions, right?
Yes. Are you on classic or on modern folders?
Modern.
Okay. I remember I will search for the documentation. I remember in modern, for example, you can log in on multiple VMs, on maximum 3 VMs with the same username. But it may depend if you already have the robots, about your specific case, that you already have the robots executing when you log in right to Open Studio.
Okay. So what you're saying is we can have 3 sessions, right?
Okay. Maximum.
So maximum 3 sessions per user.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you sure? Because if we start doing it, like maybe will not encounter any issues in production, right? Like we are running in production environment or what?
Yeah. You can search in the docs for multiple sessions per robot. I think they are called. The functionality is called. So if you search for multiple, I'm gonna write in the chat, sessions per robot functionality. /user. You will find more details. This is only in modern. That's why I was asking you.
How do we find whether it is a modern or classic cloud? Classic. We are using cloud, UiPath cloud.
Okay, you can go in tenant. So in an orchestrated tenant, in the tenant context, and go to folders page, and you would see visually the modern folders are with blue and the classic folders are with red, just for you to see them at a glance. But you would also see the type in your folders tab within the tenant.
Okay. So and we also have like we were in a POC mode in last 6 months, and we were able to deploy 6 to 7 bots, and now we were ramping up our environment. So how the licensing model work? We have 3 unattended licenses right now. So if we wanted to buy more licenses, like is it a package? How the packaging work?
Well, there's multiple ways you can scale. I would talk to your EE. As we mentioned, we don't really go into commercial details here. You can go with a pack. You can buy, just as a note, what we would do. You can buy, and then you can co-term to your existing renewal, and you can ramp as you need during the year. What we will do is we will co-term those licenses to the renewal.
No, my question is not on the commercial side, but what I'm asking is it like a package? Like, okay, you buy a starter package, you get a 3 unattended licenses, and you buy a next package, you get a 6 unattended licenses. Is it like do you have any packages?
Oh, the packs, yeah, the packs are they're growing. So there are different types of packs. Now, if you want to move from one pack to the other during the year, then you would have to do, like I was mentioning before to the other gentleman, we would do a debill and rebill. But what you can do, you have the pack, and then you can put a la carte on top of it, or you can say, I want, and you can even actually stack packs on top of each other. There's no limitation. On the other hand, honestly, it's not something that I recommend, because the packs also includes, depending on which pack, some of the platform capabilities like Automation Hub or Insights. So it doesn't really make sense to stack them, because then you would have multiple licenses of Insights, and maybe you don't need multiple, because you don't have multiple instances. So that's why I'm saying you have the pack. If you have, or whatever you have a la carte, you can go ahead and purchase additional licenses, and maybe on your first renewal, then you would decide to move to a pack, for example. But this is why I'm saying that strategy, you should discuss it with your account executive or your partner, and I'm sure they'll find the best solution for you.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, this is Priya again. I just have a question related to like Praveen's situation. He mentioned like running 5 processes, let's say in 5 different machines, but let's say you're running with the same user account. In that case, if we assign these runtimes to that specific modern folder, we've seen like in one of the situations I do remember is that like that user is tied to that unattended license, and it does not release the license even after the process was executed. So we had to manually go to the licensing page, like inside the tenant, and like, there's this toggle button that says like active and inactive, and we had to change that. Is that a scenario that's like still like manual, that we have to like disconnect that connection?
Yes, I mean, yes, if you are using the normal users, for example, it's a Windows username that you are using for unattended. And in order to solve this, that's why we created robot accounts, which are users, let's call them, dedicated for unattended usage. So you won't have the same username. Let's say it's a real person. It's me. I have my Windows username, right, with Viorela as my Windows. I also have an unattended account, because that doesn't make sense. The attended or the studio license is for me as a human user, but unattended can run on other usernames, let's say. And we should not get into each other, attended and unattended get into each other sessions, let's say. And this is why we have robot accounts now to solve this.
Okay, so you would recommend like setting up the robot accounts to that specific folder?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Sorry, one question to follow up to Priya. So if you are using unattended user, this unattended user, right? Basically robo accounts. So do you those accounts needs to be should be able to log into the Windows VMs, right? So
yes.
our AD should be provisioned that.
Well, you should provision them at organization in the accounts section in your Automation Cloud organization, accounts and groups. You would find the
UiPath. I basically there is 2 entities, right? UiPath and our AD, right? So if I set up an unattended user in UiPath, the same user should exist in my AD, so that I'll be able to log in seamlessly, right?
Yes, but you will create a robot account. Yeah, you'll create a robot account, let's say robot1, let's say,
right,
and you will give them the credentials to log into your machine, right? And that robot account name will be tied to that machine. And this way you can have the same username, Windows username, but different robot accounts names. So that's how we stop That's how we solve Priya's situation.
Okay.
At
Okay.
least for the account.
Thank
For
you.
the same username.
Okay, I think we're getting close to the end of this session. Guys, we both shared the thread from forum in the chat. Please use that thread to place any further questions you have regarding the licensing model, and they will be answered there, so we can continue there on the forum thread if there's nothing urgent. Okay, I will let Rohit wrap it up. Rohit?
Thank you, Andrei. Thank you, Viorela. It was a really great session. We will also be planning a similar session for the America time zone, which will be published soon on the community portal. And also we'll make sure that the recording for today's session and the presentation will be uploaded on the same event page where you have RSVP. So feel free to go back and look at the recording. Also, if you feel free to recommend this recording and session to your colleagues and peers who would be interested in this content and who can get the maximum value out of this. So thank you so much thank you so much everyone for your time. Thank you, Andrei. Thank you, Viorela, especially to you for sharing all the information. And please make sure that for any further queries, any further questions you have, please continue the thread on forum. The link is already shared. That's pretty much it. Thank you so much, everyone. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Next session.